Hey everybody, and welcome to Be Still Voice Works. I'm Destin. I wanted to talk today about empathy and how to have empathy, how to be empathetic. I make tons of videos for empaths who already know that they're empaths and how they can survive. For example, the Empath Survival Guide, which I didn't realize there was a book by that same name, so the likelihood of my video being found is quite minimal. However, I've noticed when I post online a lot of stuff that seems, intuitive to me, seems like something that everyone would know. There's a lot of people out there who don't feel that way, who don't think that way, who don't understand empathy quite in the way that those of us who do understand it. So I wanted to post a video just about how to have empathy and how to feel that on purpose. So, we can start by when we're speaking with a particular person. So you're talking to someone, start asking questions about their life, and this is how you can practice. So choose someone that you already know if it makes it easier for you. But get into a conversation with them. And the first thing to be empathetic is to take the focus off of yourself and make sure that focus is on the other person who's involved or the other people who are involved. Make sure that you ask them questions about their life to draw those feelings out in them, and then you can see how they're representing their feelings with the way that they speak. And as you're listening to their story, don't just hear the words and then keep passing it by till you get to your turn. Because a lot of times when we're speaking and we're having conversation, we have something that we want to say, and we're either interrupting or we're waiting until it's time to say it ourselves. And if you're actually doing that, you're not really listening as deeply as you could be. Sure, you may hear what they said, but what I want you to do is when you're listening, imagine. So, someone's talking about their child who has a particular medical concern. Well, you don't have a child with that medical concern. You may not even have children at all. So, what do you care, right? Well, wrong, because that person is an extension of you. Everything out there, if you make everything part of yourself, you will just naturally be kind and polite and respectful. And if it's part of you, you want to make sure that it survives. So there's no way you can be mean to something that's part of yourself. So as they're telling you their story that you may or may not relate to, imagine inside of your head that that is happening to you. So when they say, my son has this issue, do that in your head. My son has this issue. And start to try to feel how you might feel if you were the other person. For instance, you must feel very nervous that this particular issue with immunity might result in something horrible happening to your child or losing them too early. Now, if you're not the parent, it's easy enough to say, oh, I'm so sorry, that happens, that it's part of life, I guess we should move on. But if you are the parent, there's no way that you're going to be able to move on. It's just too painful. It's honestly, if you lose a child, killing yourself isn't that far away inside of your mind, because what's the point? I've been rearing this child, bringing them up and taking care of them, and now they've passed on. What's my purpose? What's my point? You have to think this way as they're telling you the story. And then try to get more out of them so that you can complete the feeling within yourself. Well, what kind of things have you guys done to try and help your child? And what issues have you faced? And, how difficult has it been? How has it brought your family together? And then start putting all this stuff together in your own mind as if it's happening to you. And then as you speak, you'll notice that your questions come out, instead of directing towards something that you're hoping to say or directing towards an end goal, you'll notice the conversation becomes like that with a family member that you really care about, because you're becoming a family member of this random person that you just met. It's easy to do, and when you do it, people appreciate and respect that from you. You may not have these feelings like I do naturally, but that doesn't mean you can't represent yourself as being empathetic and caring. Because I tell you what, if you can pretend to be empathetic, but then you get home and in your mind you're like, wow, that was stupid, don't care. Because pretending to be empathetic made that other person feel like you did care. So your pretend caring equates to actual caring.
Now, the more you practice this, the better you'll get at doing it naturally without having to think about it. There's not necessarily always a process to it, but you'll realize that it is an art form, and it's just something that will, over time, come naturally. Just like hitting a baseball. It's not good at first, but the more you do it, the more you can see where that ball's going to go. You can tell if it's going to curve. You can tell if it's going to drop to the ground and slide. It's the same thing with emotions. You can tell where they're going, and you can better care for people when you truly understand them and what's going on, because, you know, from the time they were born, they only had their own life. You can't possibly know everything, but you can surely care. And this is one way to start being empathetic. I love you guys. BSV out!